Yo, what's going on guys? Some of you might be aware that I've just semi-finished up my 100 hour series where I take a mechanic and work on it for 100 hours, then share the results with you guys. I started this back in January and I've posted one every month since. What I didn't mention was right before I started this journey, I recorded some standard gameplays that when I wanted to look back, I could have a direct way to analyze the differences and have a much easier time explaining to you guys the kind of things I've learned along the way. Now, I am by no means saying you need to do 100 hours in any one mechanic or 1,000 hours of training in such a short period of time, but I am going to compare gameplay from January 1st to games that I have played quite recently. By comparing the two, you're going to see massive changes in my game, and without making you do all the hard work, I'm going to do my best to simplify the lessons I've learned and give you an easy way to implement them into your own gameplay. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. I have only done 8 videos in this series, which means only 800 hours. But when you consider that that's over the course of 8 months, and the other videos I've posted where I've tested training methods, you'd know that I'm well above 1,000 hours of training from January 1st, but I thought I'd round it down to make things a little easier and nicer on the eyes. Speaking of nicer on the eyes, are you sick of seeing bronze, silver, gold, or anything that isn't the absolute glory of the highest rank in this game? Want an easy way to rank up quickly while learning basically everything I know about self-improvement? Yep, that's right folks, I'm sponsoring my own video this time. If you want to become the best player you can be, then check out my Rules to Ranking Up guide over on Gamers Ready. It's a fully fleshed out course taking you from any rank all the way to the top. It breaks every rank down into categories and specifies the different things you should train, how to train them, and how to learn to play to your strengths while eliminating your weaknesses. If you click in the description and use the code Thanovic, you can get 20% off your order and get a head start over the rest of the competition. Really quickly before we jump in, I just want to cover a few things about my last months before I show you the gameplay. I stopped playing a lot of ranked around halfway through as there were many times where I didn't have the time to put 3 hours of training in and then a decent rank session on top. That being said, I started this year around Champ 2 or Champ 3 and I'm sitting comfortably now around 1600. Without further ado, let's chuck you in so I can show you the differences that 1000 hours of training makes. The first thing I want to look at is aerial ability. Throughout the 100 hour series, the majority of my time was spent in the air, so there is no surprise that the aspect of my gameplay that has improved the most is my aerial ability and the control of my car in the air. This doesn't just come down to being able to spin in the air and hit the ball though. This includes timing, boost management in the air, and being able to understand when you should be going for the ball. As a general comparison, here's some clips of me before the training. I was very hesitant. If I spun, it was kind of for the sake of spinning and less for the sake of proper positioning. My movements were always kind of clunky, and I hadn't learned how to properly use air roll left as a standalone directional input. Now, looking at clips from after the training, you'll see that the movement is much smoother. I hesitate a lot less and have a much easier time positioning my car properly to allow me to make the most of my touch in the air. While all of this is a given because of the training, and I'm sure many of you would expect someone to get better this way if they put in that many hours, how can you get the same level of control in less than 10 hours of training? In order to develop the mindset where you will no longer hesitate, you need to be comfortable in the situation. In order to be comfortable in a situation, you need repetition. Taking aerial control, everything I have learned and the different ways I have trained, I have come to the conclusion that the way I think is best for you to obtain this level of control in no time at all is to follow this routine. Very simply, you want to pick one really easy aerial training pack and one hard training pack. I have left the ones I suggest in the description. You then want to go through the easy one a few times trying to hit the ball in different ways, angling the car differently and building up your basic car control. After a few run-throughs, you switch to the hard training pack. This should leave you no real time to think about your movements and force you to go straight away because the shots will be much harder. This is also where you'll develop the muscle memory as you won't have time to plan. Your movements will be off instinct alone, and because of this, you'll have to go through shots over and over again. Even if you never score a goal in the harder training pack, you're going to get slowly better and better when it comes to working on your car control. Now, this is going to make easy training packs much easier and make normal in-game aerials a lot more natural for you. You'll have dealt with having to immediately move to go up for the ball enough times in training that once the opportunity to go for an aerial in-game comes up, you should no longer hesitate. You have worked on much harder shots, you develop muscle memory for harder tasks, and you should be fine working through basic aerial touches. The basic 2 training pack method should then be combined with workshop maps if you're on PC or the pillars map if you're on console. Challenging your car control when it is your sole focus and you don't need to concentrate on the ball is a great way to help you work on your air roll movements and becoming much more capable in the air. Overall, the training pack section should take you about 20 minutes and the workshop maps can take you for as long as you want, but I suggest anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes. With aerial control being the big one, getting that out of the way, the next thing I want to focus on is game sense and positioning. This one is really quite difficult to explain in training terms because it was never something I directly trained, but was more a byproduct that came from a few of my 100-hour periods, mainly shooting and flicking. In the 200 hours I did shooting and flicking, I had to also take into consideration the situation outside of myself when I had the ball. This means I had to account for other players' positioning and rotations. Now, the best way I can explain how this has changed since the start of the year is through a comparison. So I'm going to show you about 15 seconds from before the training and about 15 seconds from a recent game.
I can't really afford to go up here, but I'm going to try. No boost. See, just stick in goal, just in case anything goes wrong. That's fine. But like this, sticking together heavily. That's going to bounce over and I can, yeah. So he's going to pressure pretty heavy. Teammate can get to that. I'm blocking, so we're good here. I can stick right here. Nice. So I literally only stuck there because of the situation. He's already moving forward. I may as well stick back because if they miss, I go for it. If they don't miss, my teammate goes for it. I'm already ready to go for the mid, if he passes it towards the mid.
As you can see, after training, I am able to take more into consideration at a faster rate because I am more comfortable with my surroundings. I have spent a lot of time watching over my own gameplay and commentating myself to see common patterns come up from time to time. I know at my rank, I need to account for not only what I can see on the field, but what my teammates cannot see. So, how do you work on such a broad thing like game sense and positioning? Now it's gonna sound weird, but I genuinely believe one of the best ways to improve your game sense and awareness is to commentate your own gameplay. If you've ever stopped by one of my streams, you'll see me doing this all the time. Start to analyze everything going on around you, take into consideration as many different possibilities as you can and out yourself when you make mistakes. This way you're forcing yourself to be aware of what is going on and you can hold yourself accountable for your decisions. Here's another clip. Take this approach when playing your games and if you can, record yourself to go back over and see where you might be making general mistakes in the moment.
Teammates pushing up. I'm not going to go because they're both on that side. I'm up for this. It doesn't hit, but I'm trying to aim it towards my teammate who's moved over to the mid. That should be fine. I can get it across. Ooh, that's a mistake. Kind of a mistake. It wasn't ideal. I could have put that way further on, but as long as I had a hit towards net, it was going to put some pressure on, which is why I carried on across the net to try and distract. But that one, not a big deal.
Lastly, I want to quickly touch on speed. Now it's not much, but the single biggest difference I saw from my old gameplay to my more recent gameplay was my use of boost pads. Even back then, when I was sitting around Champ 2, I would still barely ever use the boost pads around the map. It wasn't until I actually sat down and worked on it with OSM on stream at one point that I started implementing them into my gameplay. Once you start to focus on getting the boost pads as you make your way around the map, you realize how much faster you play because you are always closer to the action. With less time spent away from the ball and the play, you have more impact and have a tendency to have this faster feel to your gameplay. If you're struggling to increase your speed of play, you do not need to sit down and train different things for hours and hours. You simply need to work on your boost management and just picking up the small boost pads. I left this to last because once again, it wasn't something I actively trained all that much, but the one time I did, and the times I did afterwards, I noticed how much it impacted my style of play, and since then I have had a much easier time using the smaller boost pads in my gameplay. After 1,000 hours of training, I can easily say that these were the 3 things that I improved the most, and the ones that had the most impact on my gameplay. These are the ways I think would be easiest for you guys to quickly pick up the same things that took me a lot of time to learn. There are the small drills and methods that can help along the way, and if you have any more advice or tips you wanted to give to the general public, please feel free to do so in the comments. We are all still learning and even small bits of advice can go a long way. I am sorry that this is kind of a short list, but I didn't want to bombard you with information and make this like a 40-minute video. But if you guys enjoyed the video, please feel free to sub to the channel and keep up to date with the rest of my content. As always, links to my social media are in the description, as well as the link to my Gamers Ready course that you should definitely check out if you're looking to rank up. Anyway, that's all for today. I'll see you next time.